The finest chess player on the planet, Magnus Carlsen was just 13 when he became a chess grandmaster. With his spectacular chess mind, he's annihilated almost everyone who has come to challenge him, and that's the kind of encounter he had with Hikaru Nakamura. In today's video, we'll take you back to the time when Magnus stunned Hikaru Nakamura. We've all heard about the iconic rivalries in games: Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, John Cena versus Edge, Lionel Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo. Every match between iconic duos like these has defined an era and gripped the fans in the most thrilling way possible. And that's the kind of rivalry that happened between the Norwegian and the American chess grandmasters. According to the sources, Magnus used to play anonymously for years on the internet and crush everybody who opposed him, and because of his anonymity, many people didn't consider him a strong blitz player for a while and thought Nakamura would crush him, but that's certainly not how the story went. Magnus Carlsen versus Hikaru Nakamura. When Magnus Carlsen came face to face with one of his most powerful contenders, Hikaru Nakamura, he was already a crowned champion with 2 Blitz Championships titles to his name. However, Hikaru Nakamura wasn't any less. Day after day, the American chess grandmaster was breaking records while obliterating his opponents. As Hikaru started getting above the ranks because of his incredible speed and chess mind, he soon became a huge threat to Magnus' crown, scoring a 16.5 score after beating Rolf Madimov, putting Magnus for first place. When the title match started, both masters entered the game with their resolution to win the title to become the Blitz World Champion. Magnus kicked off the thrilling match by moving his pawn to d4. Hikaru responded to Magnus' move by moving his knight to f6. Then, without wasting his time, Carlsen put his knight in f3, which made Hikaru think for a while before taking his next move. Hikaru proceeded by playing d5. After developing their starting pieces, they initiated the game with the London system, in which Magnus got an active bishop at the great center. Due to this, Hikaru placed his bishop in d6. Very soon, Magnus made the decision to trade bishops, and after that, each trade he made started to favor him in his every move. Next up, Magnus made the decision to move his pawn to c4. Hikaru thought before considering his next move, and then traded another set of pawns. Now Magnus had an activated bishop, so Hikaru ended up with the decision to castle his king to save it, but he didn't know yet that it was the first crack in his winning strategy. Magnus turning the tide. Magnus turned the tide of the game in his favor when he played rook c1, which put an X-ray on Hikaru's queen. Now, seeing this, Hikaru managed to put his queen back to safety. Then Magnus played his next move and castled his king and his rook. Hikaru responded by moving his pawn to b6. After playing some other moves, Magnus decided to go with another bishop trade. Even though Hikaru appeared reluctant to agree to this trade, he eventually agreed. Magnus made his next smart move and went straight into the center by playing knight e5. After a minute or so, Hikaru attempted to trade by playing knight d7. Magnus now played with a solid plan in his head. Knowing that Hikaru couldn't take the knight without losing his queen, he offered a queen trade. Hikaru avoided the queen trade by moving his queen away. The time was ticking for the fastest chess player, and he is in grave danger. Magnus then moved his knight to c6, so he was in the position to easily check Hikaru's king. So Hikaru moved it away immediately. Now, here was the most thrilling part. The gripping moment. Magnus started the next phase by playing his knight to c4, so Hikaru was left with no option but to take a free pawn. While taking a free pawn is always considered a good thing, that's not the case when you're playing with Magnus Carlsen. In fact, it could be very dangerous. Magnus played g5, which threatened to attack Hikaru's knight on f6. Hikaru dodged this move by playing his other knight to c5. Magnus then moved his knight to d6, which made him in charge of another attack to the center, with a target at the f7 square, and that's exactly the moment when Hikaru knew he was done. While it would have been best to take another pawn with queen b2, Hikaru decided to attack by playing his knight to b3. However, that move just crushed all his hopes for winning. Magnus seized the opportunity and moved his rook to c2, which saved it from the attack. Hikaru responded by playing queen a4, but the tide of the game had already turned. Magnus played a lethal move and moved his rook to c4 and attacked Hikaru's queen once again. Magnus proceeded with yet another deadly move. He played his pawn to g5 and attacked Hikaru's knight. At this point, Hikaru started shaking his head and moved his knight to the only possible square to save it. Unfortunately, it was too late to save his game now. Magnus moved his rook to h4. After playing some moves in an attempt to get a checkmate, Hikaru tried one last thing and played his rook to f8. However, Magnus did not give him any chance to get ahead. He moved his rook to f4, crushing the last bit of hope for Hikaru's victory. Now at this stage, Hikaru knew that if he took the rook, Magnus would quickly checkmate him, so he resigned. And that's how Magnus Carlsen got the crown and became the third-time Blitz World Champion. That's it for today's video, thank you for watching!